Hello everybody, this is the review marathon from Yao9. Yeah, it is a review marathon at this point because, as I've said previously, I have a huge backlog of figures that I want to get rid of, so I'm going to get rid of the reviews in as little time as possible, so stay tuned to the channel. But in any case, let's get on with the review for today. Today's review is going to be on the Ultraman Dyna Strong Type figure from all the way back in 1997. Now this is a figure that I believe is actually kind of special because I actually have two of these. That's right, I purchased this one from a long time ago, and there are slight variations that we will go into besides the other reason why I'm keeping this figure. Now I will be really willing to get rid of one of these things, so if you are interested in picking up one, just contact me. And since, of course, this came from the same figure lot as the rest of my UHS Ultraman Dyna stuff, it has no packaging, so let's just get on with the review. They say that third time is the charm with these things, but I actually don't think that's actually the case, because this figure again reeks a little bit of disappointment. Now, of course, this figure is very clearly been touched up. It's the most obvious of the few figures that I got from this lot, 6 actually, that have been touched up. Now, the big important part again is that the face sculpt is completely wrong, but another big reason that this figure just doesn't appeal at all to me is the fact that his eye color is slightly different versus his contemporary brethren that just knocked him over because he has superior eye color. Thank you. Just to repay his debt from the previous video. The Flash type figure and the Strong type figure, as well as the Miracle type figure, and the Flash type figure have the same colored eyes, while the Strong type figure reverts back to a more traditional Ultraman color with the yellow versus these guys with the milky white. And that is the big issue with Strong type here, which is that it's not very consistent with the rest of the figures, and also that it's extremely front heavy. I'm not sure why that is, but both of my copies are extremely front heavy, as long as you have the arms in the right configuration. Zooming back out, we can see that this is easily the Dyna figure with the least amount of effort put into it because it requires the least amount of effort. The figure is mostly red, just like in the show, which is why you can find this guy very easily for that's not damaged. Now, this is of course the 1997 issue, so the vinyl is glossy, and I'm pointing this out because eventually, if I ever get the 2000 review, I am going to actually show off how much of a piece of junk that is. Because trust me, you do want to know how much of a piece of junk that is. But in any case, the figure is enough to pass off as a standalone Ultraman Dyna figure from the Ultra Hero series, with the exception that he's actually got 1 foot forward. In both of the variants that I have received, or both of the copies I have received, 1 foot is forward. So that is something that's very interesting. Without further ado, let's move on to the articulation. In terms of articulation, Dyna Strong Type is pretty much identical to Miracle Type and every other Ultra Hero series figure, with his 3 points of articulation in the arms and in the waist. Now, one of the things that's very interesting about this guy is his more pronounced muscles, because whereas in the likes of Miracle Type and Flash Type, how it didn't work, on Strong Type it actually makes a lot more sense. And now we can bring in the other Strong Type that I have received previously that is actually going to be sold somehow. And I am going to show off some of the differences that I found between the two. Now, I'm not sure if this is a sign of age, but the silver on my original Dyna Strong Type is actually a lot more worn down than on the new one. I don't think that's just because the new one has been touched up with a paint marker. And also, the original has white eyes versus this version, which has yellow eyes. And finally, let's get on to why this figure, this old version that I have, is a lot more sentimental in some ways, because it actually shows signs of being loved and played with. On the right thigh of the figure, the words Madoka are written. That might be the name of the child that has owned this figure previously. We can show it off. Here we go, Madoka. And on the back of the figure, the word Yuta is written, probably a second-hand owner of this probably third-hand figure. And in my opinion, that is actually fairly interesting because it actually shows that these toys were owned by legitimate children and not just idiot scalpers online trying to make a profit. But if anything, that really does just serve to devalue some of this toy by a fair margin. Quickly wrap up on the size comparison. Now, Strong Type has the obvious distinction of getting a lot of kaiju that made as he fought. Unfortunately, however, I'm not going to show off all of them because that would simply take too long, and of course you guys are going to be bored watching this review already. So first up, let us attempt to show off Neo Geomos. And this of course looks awful because Neo Geomos devoted most of his height to his tail length. Next up, let us try Monstarger. And of course, Monstarger gets a good rating because Monstarger is tall. And finally, for our last comparison, let's throw in Deathfacer. And haha, you didn't catch that, did you? But this is our last comparison for the Ultra Monster series because we're moving on, after I knock something over on the ground, to the Ultra Hero releases, with the only one that I'm going to compare being Fake Dyna. And of course I have two Fake Dynas because of this lot as well, so I'm getting rid of one of these. And if anybody wants them, again, you can contact me by messaging on on YouTube. And of course it looks pretty okay. If you've noticed anything at all from the way I've conducted my last 3 reviews, is that, or not counting the Sasahila one because that was uploaded out of order, you would see that I have pretty much the same opinion for all of these figures because they are all pretty much the same. Now, we are going to get onto something a little bit more interesting in a little bit, but in any case, you already know what the score for this guy is going to be, and that is going to be a 4 out of 5. It's just the only issue with the figure is that the sculpt is slightly inaccurate with the small color timer and the face, and the fact that it's very front heavy means that you can't really get the maximum amount of playability out of this thing. But in any case, if you can find it for under $5, I'd say go pick it up. It's a great way to bolster your Ultra Hero Legion. And of course, you don't need 3 Dynas, but this is still not a bad one to miss out on. Or no, this is not one that you should miss out on, I should say. So yeah, the final score is again 4 out of 5, as you all would have already known by this point. This is Yanai, and I will see you guys next time.